So I don't know if anyone noticed, but along with the Season 1 update just the other day, not only did the devs add 2 new maps to Portal, but they also added this. Yep, the Ring of Fire. So now, inside Portal, you can put your own, very own, controllable Ring of Fire, place it where you want, make it shrink, make it grow, pretty much do whatever you want to. So I thought, why not let people know how to do this? So that's what I'm going to do in this video. Really quickly, I'm going to show you how to set up the Ring of Fire so you can use it in your own game modes. It's going to be a very quick guide, but hey, now we can do it, why not make use of it? Let's crack on with the video and I'll show you how to get it into your modes right now. So step one, before we begin, make sure that you have downloaded the brand new SDK, this SDK that's available on the website. This contains all of the new extra parts, the extra scenes that you're going to need to be able to make this work, especially and importantly, the Ring of Fire itself. So go and do that first before we start and come back in a minute if you haven't got it already. So step two, with the new SDK loaded up and the brand new items added to it, we're just going to search in the filters in Godot at the bottom left hand corner for the Ring of Fire. And there it is. We've got a brand new scene, Ring of Fire under Battle Royale. We're going to drag that into our scene and we'll just drop it just outside the entire scene. Let's drop it there so it's at the top. There we go. We've got our Ring of Fire, and straight away you will see we have a ton of settings. The center of the Ring of Fire is wherever we place this particular item. At the moment, it's probably placed under the map, so you need to position it wherever you want the Ring of Fire to appear. I'm going to do that, come back in a second. So you'll see that I've placed the Ring of Fire dead center in my tennis courts. You can place it wherever you like. And the next thing that we're going to do is make sure it's selected, and in the inspector, go down to hard restrict ob. And you can see that this is an ob volume. We're going to add one of these to the Ring of Fire. So I've searched for ob volume or ob vol in the file system, and you can see that they have provided one of these. And I'm going to take the volume TSCN and I'm going to drag and drop it right on top of this Ring of Fire item in the scene. And there it is. I'm just going to change the settings. I am still working things out at the moment, but I've found that setting this to 30 and 30 and 30 works perfectly fine. Okay, I'll give more of a tutorial on this when I've done some more guides, but that's going to work for you for the moment. So we've got our Ring of Fire and the ob volume just below it. We are going to select the Ring of Fire in the scene, and we are going to assign the ob volume that we just added to the map by clicking on the assign button in the inspector for the Ring of Fire, and then selecting the node that we just added, like so. Step 4, and the final things that we are going to do in the Godot editor, is we are going to give the Ring of Fire an ID. I'm going to give it 100, and then we're going to set some of these other settings just so that we can see how this works. So we are going to set the stable time, that is the time when the ring stops moving. So it's moved and then it waits for this stable time and then it starts moving again. I'm going to set that to a very short time of 5. You can alter that in the script, but for now, just for this demonstration, we're going to do that there. We can also set the amount of damage that a player takes when they enter the ring. It is by default set to 1000, which works the same way as it does in the new RedSec Battle Royale mode. So 1000 will represent an instant kill when you hit the fire, but obviously you can change that if you'd like this to play a little bit more like a traditional BR where the outer ring isn't quite as deadly. You can change this damage amount to something less, and the player will take less damage when they enter the Ring of Fire. I'm going to leave it at 1000 and move on. And then we are going to set the zone override size. We want to give each one a starting size. So this is from the center of the Ring of Fire. And I'm going to set this size to 200. Then we're going to shrink to 150. Then we will shrink to 100. And you can just go down and put different sizes in. In my demonstration at the beginning, I obviously set it to be going backwards and forwards in size, and you can actually grow and shrink it if you want to. And then we will set the final circle to be 10 in size. We can also override the time it takes for the ring to shrink or grow if you set it that way. So from 200 to 150, we can set the time. I'm going to set these times to be just 5 seconds so that we can see that in the game itself when we demonstrate, but that's it. Obviously you can play around with all of these settings however you want, but that's it. That is the Ring of Fire set up in your editor. We aren't going to add this restrict shape data. We don't need it for the Ring of Fire to work, and in my main tutorial we will look at that as well later on, but obviously you can play around with that if you want to. You may also want to make sure that your HQs and your spawns are inside the Ring of Fire. You can place these wherever you like in your own game mode, and obviously you can place spawns around the map, but obviously in a true battle royale there wouldn't be spawns in the traditional sense. But I'm just going to move these spawns inside or very close to the fire center so that when I spawn in on this test I don't get fried. So let's get this exported and imported into the Portal web builder so we can change the final settings. So make sure to select the correct map. I have chosen Clubhouse because that's what I put in the editor, and upload the spatial edit that we just did, which included the Ring of Fire. Let's just save that to be sure and move on. We're going to make one final change to a script. So the final step is to add the script to the web builder to get the fire shrinking. You can trigger the shrink start on anything you like, but we are just going to trigger it on game mode started. So we are going to type export async function on game mode started. The new command is mod.ringofFire_start, and then we need to get the Ring of Fire that we've just created. So mod.get Ring of Fire, and then we just need to give it the object ID that we placed for this item in Godot. And that is it. You will have a Ring of Fire on your screen that will slowly shrink over time and get smaller and smaller. And obviously now you can have a play around with it. That is a really quick start to getting the Ring of Fire. I know some of you creative people out there will now understand how all of this works together and will be able to use this in your modes. But for those that just want to add it to their base mode, you can do. And here you go. Here is your wonderful Ring of Fire all set to go. Your wonderful dangerous Ring of Fire. Now you will notice when you start this mode the ring moves pretty quick, because obviously that's the way we've set it up for demonstration, and it's going to come in pretty fast, and this is just awesome. Hopefully you have a lot of fun playing around with this. I remember way back in Portal 1 that I set up my first Ring of Fire using AI bots. I think we can all agree that this is just a little bit more exceptional. I think it's awesome that they brought the Ring of Fire to the game so quickly. I know a lot of people have been looking for something like this to use in the mods, so I'm looking forward to seeing how people use this going forward. Remember, you can have it going in and out. I should mention that I have experienced a couple of crashes while using the Ring of Fire. Didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for it. I just reloaded the game and started again, and it worked perfectly fine. But we'll see how things work out for you. Right, that's the end of this video. Take care everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Ta-ra.